Okay, good morning. So we're up to Yud Ches. We're halfway through Yud Ches, and basically Yud Ches is talking about mistakes on the Klaff, where a person, the Sofer, writes the parsha on the Tefillin, and letters join together. So we said, for example, a mem psucha. You've got a regular mem, and if imagine a mem is like a chaf, and then you draw the line down, the vav down, but he drew it too close to the chaf, and it became like a final mem. So you can't just scrape it away, because that's the problem of chak teiches. Basically, you've got a blob of ink, and you're scratching out the letter. That's not ksiva. Ksiva means you've got to write the actual letter, and not sort of scratch it out from a blob of ink. It says v'chosav. You can't just, you've got to actually physically properly write it. So, we're up to, in fact, let's just read the Mechaber again on the beginning of Yud Ches, just to get back into it, and then we'll do the Mishnah Berurah from where we're up to. So it says the Mechaber, Mem Pesucha, so I'm Lamed Beis Sif Yud Ches. Mem Pesucha, if you've got a regular Mem, Shenidbak Pesichos of Anistema. So imagine you've got the Mem, and then you draw the line down, you've got like a chof shape, and then you draw the line down, and it sticks together too close to the side, and therefore it looks like a final Mem. Ein moya liggror hadovik ulepaschal. It doesn't help to scratch away that opening, mishum davik chak teiches, because that's a problem of chak teiches, like I just described. Umataknos. So what is the remedy? Sheyigro kolachartum v'tishoy ketzuras nun kfufu. You scrape away the whole vov, the letter hanging down, so you're back to just like just a regular chof, and then v'achkach yichtov mashegora. Then you draw the vov to make a proper mem hanging down. V'reish continues the Mechaber. V'reish also come in dalet. So you've got a reish, but by mistake you made it like a dalet. So instead of sort of making it a round reish, you sort of did the top a little bit too long. Yesh lahachmer v'loma. Here in this case, the lo sagi kashiyigra hayorech levad. It's not good enough just to scrape away. Or hagag levad, so you scrape away the leg or the side or the top. V'yachsev ichtavenu kumin reish. Mishum teben hagag or ben hayorech nasu bepisol. Because the initial ksiva of that gag was done wrong. When you did the dalad, you did it square at the top. You should have made it round. So the initial ksiva was wrong, as opposed to the mem. That's how you write the mem. You write the chof, the sort of the beginning part of the mem, and then you draw the leg. Well, it was the leg that you did wrong. So there we allow you to scrape away the leg, and to just do it again, but just a little bit away from the mem, so that doesn't look like a final mem. And therefore in our case you've got to be gorish shneihim in that case with the reish and the dalet. Now, if two letters join together, then whether it's before, whether it's after, it's possible. Now, this is where we're up to. If two letters join together, so for example, he's got pictures here, you've got like a lamed and a vov, yeah? If you can see over here, the lamed and the vov, you can see that he's joined them together, right? He's done them too closely together, the lamed and the vov. So if the Mechaber said, Hilkach, if two letters join together, whether it was after you finished the letters or before, parcel, that's no good because it's not two separate letters. You've just created this new sort of single letter. But if you split it, then kasha. That's not called chak teiches. The difference is, in this situation, you've done both letters correctly, it's just that they're just touching each other. That's the problem. And therefore you can scrape away in that situation. So let's do the Mishnah Berurah on that. We're up to Sifkot and Ayin Tes in the Mishnah Berurah. So kasha, in this situation it would be okay to scrape away and to separate those two correctly written letters which just stuck together. Says the Mishnah Berurah, V'hu adin ragli ha'osyos. So too, if the foot of the letter, or igagan, or the tops, v'emtzon magil soif beli hekef klaff, where there's no proper border around them, that you need parchment around each letter, rashai legarer ktsas, you can scrape away a little bit. The loigarer minidbak oislois, that's no worse than when two letters stick together. The mahani grira, we just said that you're allowed to scrape away. V'da, and you should know, don't worry about shelo kasidron. We said that the tefillin have got to be written in the correct order. Why is that not a problem? You're not adding to the letter. You're just scraping away between the two letters to clarify that these are two separate letters. Even the oisius of the Shem Hashem, you can do that. And it's not a problem of chak teiches. Umayri, says the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton Pei, Umayri, we're talking about you haven't changed the letter, the tzura, the appearance of the ois, by the fact that it was stuck together. But if you've changed the appearance of the letter, now because of this new combined letter, a kid is not going to be able to read it. And certainly if it looks like a different letter, could go in vav. For example, a vav which has the appearance of a nun, kufufa, dibuk of sheniris katsuras tes, or a nun which you made it sort of a little bit too fat. Veneris katsuras tes, and it looks like a tes. An average child will look at it and say, hey, that's not a nun, but that's a tes. There, in that situation, griras, the scraping away, will not help you. That's like the beginning of this sif, where you've got the mem, and you've got the leg of the mem, which looks like a final mem, made it into a final mem, and therefore you're scraping it away. It's a problem of chak teiches, of engraving, of internal engraving, we call it, that it's not ksiva. In that situation, therefore, the only eight is to scrape away the whole nun, because that's also changed its appearance. Okay, kitikuna pei aleph. If a bit of ink drops, after even though initially it was written properly, but then as you were finishing it off, a bit of ink spilled, and therefore it got ruined because of this ink drop, and it changed the appearance of that letter. The difference is, in our case, that each letter was written properly. It's just that they were joined together. If the entire side of the letter are joined together, then Gerira won't help you. Okay, good. Now let's press on. So we're up to, let's continue the Mechaber. So im nogu, where the Mechaber is, in my edition, it's where it says pay base in the Mechaber. Im nogu ragle hahei v'hakuf. Now here, the hay and the kuf touch begag in the roof of the letter. So here, if you can see this, can you see the hay? Picture the hay. Yeah, the hay is you've got sort of the dalet shape, and then you've got a leg. But the leg of the hay, you've by mistake joined it to the roof, and so to the kuf. Now there you've got a problem. So what do you want to do? You want to scrape away the top of the leg so that the hay looks like a hay and not and it doesn't touch the roof. So says the Mechaber again. Im nogu ragle hahei v'hakuf begag. If the leg of the hay or the kuf touched the roof of the letter, yigra haregel v'yachsav v'yichtevenu. Just scrape away the leg and rewrite the leg. Ve'ein tzarich ligra kolois. You don't need to rub away the whole letter. Ki hagag kadinichtav, because the top was written properly. So imagine you write the daled shape, and then you write the leg of the hay, but you mess up and you do it too tall, touching the roof. You just have to scratch away the foot of the hay, and then you're okay. Let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Pay base im nogu avalim yesh hefsek dak, but it's got to actually touch for that to be a problem. But if there is even a very small gap, even if it's tiny, afilu rak chut hasara kosher, that's okay. Hahei im nidbak rak chut hasara. So long as the kid knows that it's a hay, still you need to scrape away the whole leg. Because if it's touching, then it hasn't got the shame of a hay, hasn't got the tzur of a hay. And so too with the kuf, and it doesn't help me that a kid could recognize it as a hay. If it's touching, and you've got a problem. Pei daled yigror v'loy mahani hafroda ba'alma. You got to scrape away the leg of the hay and redo it, and it doesn't help me to scratch it away mishum to have a kachak teiches, because again you've got the problem of chak teiches. You've got to write the letter hay and not to have a blob of ink and scrape it away to form the letter hay. Horegel pirush kule ben hey ben kuf kim shenas v'pisel v'ayim be'halacha. Okay, now let's go back to the mechaber. Im noga regel ha'alef. For me, it's the beginning of the second line on my edition. Im noga regel ha'alef begag ha'alef. Now, this is. Let me show you this. Yeah. So imagine the letter aleph. Can you see the letter aleph? The letter aleph is made up of a vav, a cross, like a diagonal vav, and then two yuds. Yeah, can you picture the letter aleph? Now here, what the guy did wrong, instead, can you see the foot there? Instead of drawing a letter like an upside down yud, he just drew a big blob all the way to the main body of the aleph. Can you see that? Right? So you've got the aleph, and then you can have a little yud with a little, and then one on the bottom, one on the top. But here he did something too big, and it's, if you want to take a look, it'll be clearer to you. Yeah, it was too chunky. So again, im noga regel ha'alef begag ha'alef, or pnei ha'alef befonim begag shetach apostle. That's problem. And it doesn't help just to scrape it away. Same old problem. The eighth over there is to scrape away what you've done and to rewrite it. Let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Pevov begag ha'alef. When you draw the aleph, there's like a vav on a diagonal and then two yuds, but the yud has got a tiny connection to that middle vav. And if you didn't do it, but you did it full, then it's a problem. Okay. Pei zayin pnei ha'alef hainu b'yuto elyon. You've got two little yuds in the aleph above the cross, the sort of the horizontal, so the upper one. So that's when it's fully connecting to the middle vav, because that changes the appearance. But if it just sort of spreads a little, but it's not as thin as it should be, to make beautiful writing, if there's a little gap, that's okay. Lahafrida, we said that it's not good enough to scrape away lahafrida. Perish lahafrida sanagia levada v'yishoah ha'is memela karo, because that's chak teiches. Peites kol. What's this going on? Ela yigro komashenas v'pisel. You got to scrape away what you did and then rewrite it. Hainu sheyigro haregel kulei v'lo sagi sheyafrit haregel me'al ha'alav. It's not good enough. You just separate it. Ad sheyivatenu mitzuros ois levad. Because the actual regel was written inappropriately, incorrectly. And so too the other way around. And you've got to rewrite it. You can't just wipe out the little yud part, but you got to scratch out the entire aleph that you've written. Because the rest of it is written in an incorrect way. If you didn't do it, then there's a b'diavad tzorichin if you got to be machmik k'mesha kasavti b'ber halacha. Okay, now let's go back to the last bit of this sif. We're up to the Ramah. Yeah, it says the Ramah v'chein hadin b'yud hashin hatzadi v'ha'ayin v'ha'pei im nogu b'guf ha'ois yoseh b'mokum dibukam. So imagine here, I've got pictures. Imagine these letters. This is how a shin should be. Yeah, or a tzadi, yeah. There should be just a very small connecting point. The shin, you've got the bottom bit, and then you've got three yuds on top. It's amazing how each letter is sort of made up out of other letters. So you've got the bait, but again, you've messed up. Instead of having a little yud, you've made it like square going down to the shin. So you've made it too big. So again, the temptation is just to scrape away, but you've got to scrape away the whole thing. So that's what the Ramah is saying. So too, not just with the aleph, but with the yud, the shin, the tzadi, the yudin of the shin and tzadi, ayin, pei, etc. If they touch the guf of the ois, then you've got the same issue. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Sivkot and Tzadi, the hainu shahayud nase kav yosher. The yud is not like the yud is like a little chunkier top bit at the top, and then a very thin line going down. But you didn't do that. You made it like one big blob. For less suras yud, it hasn't got the shape of a yud. Avl ein mazik in this abba hakav mat. The little line coming down, if it's a bit thicker, that's not a problem. But it can't be just one big blob. V'hapei, says the Mishnah Berurah, v'huadin im regel hasmoili, if shelatov nase yoshar, and so too if the left leg of the tof is made straight. V'lo yotze l'matze l'achutz, doesn't go out a bit. V'ayim b'levushe srod shenisha b'tzorichin, lama tzorich klal grira. Why do you need to do it at all to be scrape away? I've got a better eitzah. Yamshich achkach v'yabe ma'ates hayud hashin. You can just make the rest of it bigger to make the bit that came down thinner. It's all relative. Why don't you do that? If that idea of making the bigger, the top part a little bit thicker to make the bottom part thinner, that would work. All of the above is where you haven't written the subsequent letters. Because once you've written the subsequent letters, you've got a big problem. Because if that weren't the case, you can't fix things up, it's too late. Because you've got to write the parashas of the Tefillin, Kasidron, in the order. So we're always talking about when you've rectified the problem before you move on to write the next letters. Once you've written the next letters, you've got a problem. Okay. Seder, we'll leave it there. Mishem, carry on tomorrow.